Okay, we are live. Zume?
We're live.
Okay, excellent. Marvelous. Okay, so good morning, everyone, or hello, everyone, if you're watching this back later. Welcome to our IEEE Awards seminar. My name is Lee. I'm the Region 8 SAC Awards and Contest Coordinator. I'm also joined by Ariana Garcia, who is the MGA SAC Awards Coordinator. We'll both be presenting today some of the ideas on the Student Activities Awards. So first of all, thank you all for joining us, and to those watching. I know it's sometimes an early hour for some of you, but this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel later, so you can watch this back at any time that suits you if there's some details that you'd like to be reminded of. Please do feel free to watch these back, and thank you all for those of us that are here with us live today. So what a year we've had, eh? Running an IEEE student branch requires a huge amount of dedication and commitment, and never has that been more so than during this challenging year that we've all just faced. You've all done an incredible job in transitioning to online events, devising virtual activities, and generally keeping your student branches active during this very difficult year, a year that some of you may not have even been to university, or very rarely, or had very much face-to-face contact. So to be able to also keep a student branch active is an incredible achievement, as it always is. So we believe that dedication should be rewarded. We believe that it should be recognized here, and a large part of what we do here in Region 8 SAC is awards and recognition. We believe one of the big parts of this is to say thank you for all of your efforts, and so that you can be recognized amongst the student community. So I'd like to show you 5 of the awards that we currently have open for nominations. They're open for about another 5 days. They've been open for, I believe, around about 2 months already. And you'll have seen our social media posts and e-notices, hopefully. If you haven't seen them, then please do follow our social media. You can see that in the corner of the screen here. So please do like all of those and follow them. Although if you're watching this, I expect you do already follow at least one of them. So I'm going to go through some of the awards and how to go about applying for them. And then after that, I'm going to hand over to Ariana, who is going to take us through the application process on the platform, just so that you're familiar with how it works, and so that there's no surprises and you know what to be expected of as you do. So I'm going to explain the 5 awards that we have. We have the Exemplary Student Branch Award, the Larry K. Wilson Student Activity Award, Outstanding Branch Counsellor Award, Daryl Chong Student Activity Award, and the Student Branch Website Contest. Now, some of those are fairly self-explanatory and others perhaps not. So I'm going to go through each one and explain what the criteria is and how to go about applying for them. So as you can see there in the corner, in large text, the deadline is the 31st of March, which is rather soon. So if you are thinking of doing so, please do make the application sooner rather than later. So the first one is the Exemplary Student Branch Award. This award is given to any student branch that reaches a set of criteria. It's there to reward the work and dedication of the entire branch, including all of its committee that have contributed to making the student branch a success. In order to receive this award, you need to meet 5 conditions, which are standard practice in running a student branch to its usual capacity, and meet an additional 12 out of now 32 other criteria. Now, most of the time, if you are active in your student branch and you do regular activities and have a committee, you should have no problem in meeting most of these criteria. If you are a new student branch and you may not have had many activities, or this year has been particularly challenging and you may not have done as much, then it is also worth going to look at this, even if you don't intend to apply, so that you can understand what these are and consider this for the following year. I would strongly recommend people have a look at this because they are great guidelines for just generally running a student branch. Now, in order to do this, documentation is required. We do require people to upload the sort of evidence of this activity, if you will. So if you have held activities, lectures, seminars, webinars, workshops, and so on, or you have communications with other people that are relevant, then you will be required to upload that securely using our platform. It won't be shared anywhere else, but it's there so that we can see that these activities have actually taken place and then award correspondingly. So the actual reward for this is the Exemplary Student Branch Certificate. There's a copy of that just in the bottom of the screen there. In real life, when we are able to meet face to face, we like to give these as a nice printed signed certificate. At the moment, obviously, things are virtual, so we will issue, at the moment, a PDF version of it, but we do hope that in future we will be able to issue hard copy certificates in person, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. But the most important thing about the Exemplary Student Branch Award is it is not a competition. If you meet the criteria, you will receive the award. So we have in Region 8 about 650 odd student branches. If everybody met that criteria, everybody would receive the award, although that would be a very difficult month for us. So, so please do have a look at that. Please do look at the criteria. And if you feel that you are eligible, please do nominate yourselves for it. So on to the next award is the Larry K. Wilson Student Activities Award. This is a much more prestigious award and is only given to one student member per year per region. So it is to reward the student member who is most responsible for an extraordinary accomplishment, and several achievements are usually required to actually receive this award. The actual prize is a very nice customized award plaque, and you also get 3 years complimentary membership of IEEE. So if you have a member of your student branch who has really gone above and beyond the sort of call of duty in recruiting members, hosting activities, and coming up with innovative ideas, then please do consider nominating for this. As we've said before, it's worth applying, even if you don't necessarily know whether the idea that you've had is extraordinary or not, because it is also great practice for following years if you wish to do it again. So, so please do take a look at that. Third award here I'll talk about is the Outstanding Branch Counsellor and Chapter Advisor Award. This one is a little more self-explanatory, but is there to reward the dedicated efforts of student branch counsellors. These are the academic members of staff at your university which oversee the operation of the student branch, for those of you that may not be familiar with that. Quite often, the student branch counsellors do some incredible work in making sure that the student branch continues, that when various student branch chairs graduate, they then are filled with another officer, and generally keeping the spirit of the branch alive. So if you have a student branch counsellor at your university who has been very helpful in keeping the branch running, then do consider nominating them for this award. Only one counsellor can receive this award per student branch at any time. So if you've previously won this, you would need to appoint a new counsellor, but then you would be re-eligible for winning that award. So the actual prize for this award is a certificate and 1 year's complimentary membership of IEEE, but also the student branch will receive a cash reward as well. And the nomination process is an essay which you need to supply, less than 1,000 words, and some supporting documentation as well. So, so please do consider nominating for that. It's a great way to reward the efforts, the voluntary efforts, of course, of the branch counsellor. The fourth award I'll talk about is the Daryl Chong Student Activity Award. Now this, rather than being based on a particular member, is more related to a particular activity that your branch may have devised, or indeed one individual may have devised. So this is to recognise activities which have helped to promote the IEEE's mission, the IEEE's causes, and also to promote membership growth and to generally raise the attention and the profile of the IEEE Students Program. There are 4 levels on offer: platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. The platinum level is again a nice customized plaque. The others are certificates, but it is again a very prestigious award to receive. And the ideas are judged on the levels here, which you see: the concept, implementation, repeatability, and results. So this is another one to consider if you have brought about an innovative idea such as a hackathon or a seminar of a particular interest, or any other bright ideas that, that you think should be rewarded. And finally, the Student Branch website contest. Again, this one's a little more straightforward, but we would strongly encourage all student branches to maintain a website in addition to what is most common, the social media page, which most student branches have. Partly this is so that you have a web presence so that people can search and find it easily. And also so that members of your committee who may be studying web science or graphic design or so on can exercise and train themselves in their skills. So we find this is an excellent way for people to practice their web design skills by making a student branch website. We have in the past had examples where students have actually had this as part of their university project, and also it's been the website contest entry. So that is another way to get a little bit more out of your student branch. The websites are judged on the usability, accessibility, content, presentation, and various other criteria. All of the straightforward things you would expect of a website, but the primary things that are judged are the clarity of the information and the ease of accessibility. And the prizes for these, you first enter the regional contest. So it'll be judged amongst other Region 8 submissions. We will then have a top 3, which is $300, $200, and $100 and a certificate. Those 3 will then be entered into the global contest. So your website will be competing against all other student branches around the world. The global winner receives quite a sizable reward there of $1,000, and the runner-up is $500. Sometimes there is also a special mention, which I believe is $250. Ariana, you may be able to confirm that, but that depends on how many entries there are. So those are the 5 awards. They're all open now. The deadline, as you can see there throughout all of the slides, is on March 31st. So please do consider applying for these. I will just also mention briefly how we go about rewarding these. Here you can see some screenshots and some photographs from our student and young professional congresses over the years. These are all available on our social media site and various other platforms. But as you can see, we regularly, mostly every 2 years, although of course this year has been, and last year has been somewhat different, we organize a large gathering in the region for everybody to come together, share ideas and experience, and socialize, watch events and activities, and also receive their awards on that particular year. So this is a few screenshots from those activities. And the following slide here are a couple of the awards ceremonies. These are also all available as images on our social media. You may see some familiar faces there if you've been with us for some time, but this, as you can see in the middle row there, that is some of the award plaques that you receive for various awards, and some of the others are the certificates. So yeah, there's countless examples of this on our pages, but this is how these awards are actually issued. So that's just some information there. Finally, I'd like to leave you with our Future 50 offer, which basically allows you to get student membership of IEEE for half price for the next 3 years. So if you are considering joining or you have yet to renew, you can currently do so for half price. This offer is hopefully spread everywhere, and you will have received this by email. But if you are going to renew, use the code Future50 and you will receive your membership fee for half the price. So that's all I want to talk about. I'm going to hand over now to Ariana. She is going to take us through the process of actually applying for the Exemplary Student Branch Award. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and hopefully, Ariana, you will be able to begin. Yes. Okay, so as time goes on, if you have any questions about any of this, please do put them on the comments on the Facebook. I believe that that is now open. So if you have any questions that you would like answering, please upload them to that. And after this presentation, we will go through the questions and we will do our best to answer them.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Lee. That was a great presentation about awards. Um, I think you mentioned all key aspects. So I'm moving on to the demonstration on how you can apply to the Exemplary Student Branch Award in particular. This is the website from the awards. You can come here and you will see what's the goal of these awards, what we are trying to do, why we organize it every year. You will find a link to the Student Awards portal where you will be able to work on your submissions. And then you will have here that every year the submissions open on February 1st and close on March 31st. Here we have a countdown, so you know how much time you have left to apply. So these are the 5 awards that Lee presented. We're going with the Regional Exemplary Student Branch Award. Each of the pages of the awards have information that you can review to see if you apply and what do you need to apply. You will find eligibility criteria, what's the nomination process, you will find the deadline, and the evaluation criteria that I think it's one of the most important things that you will look at when doing this. The prizes that already mentioned, and if you want to see the past recipients, the past winners of any of these awards, you can just go to this link right here and you will find a graded table where you can find all this information. So let's start with the submission. You go to visit the IEEE Awards portal. You will find this open water platform that has been new last year. We have started to use it last year. In the first page, you will find the list of awards for you to select. In this case, we are going to work with the Exemplary Student Branch Award. Once you select the award, you will get this information displayed. You will get who can be a nominee, who can be a nominator, and which endorsements would you need to present your application. At the same time, you will find some extra information if needed for you to have everything in just one place. You don't need to Google anything. The idea is that you can just come here and you will have everything that you need. So you will find this list of documents that are required for this award. As Lee mentioned, we have 5 required documents, and then you need to submit at least 12 additional documents from the 32 that we have available. In this document, you can find a brief description of each of the documents that we are requesting. That is to help you to feel confident on the information and the documents that you're uploading. We will get to this part of the form, and then we will come back to this file, to this explanation, so we can map it. And finally, here we have this first field that is a general name for your submission. In this case, we are working with the Exemplary Student Branch Award, so you should enter the name of your student branch. Probably you know, but I belonged to a student branch a couple of years ago. I'm not longer part of a student branch, but let's say that I still am, so I'm going to submit an application for this student branch. Then I will move on to the next page. The submission form is organized in different pages where you have to fill different information. The first page was about selecting the award that you want to apply to. The second one is about the nominee, that it's the student branch. So you will find region information, section, student branch code. In case you're not sure where you can find that information, everything is on BTools. I usually take that from the officers page. You can look for your student branch and you will get the official name. I looked it yesterday. My university is this one, and this is the student branch code. So I just copy this and paste this, and I have that ready. Then I enter the name of the counselor of the student branch, the IEEE membership number, and the email ID, and the same thing for the student branch chair. This part is also important, the nomination period. When you apply to this award in this year, that means that you are going to nominate the activities and the management and everything from last year, from January 1st to December 31st, from the previous year. That's the part that we are recognizing. So you can go over to January 2020 and select that you're nominating your activities and the documentation that you're attaching belongs to this year and ends on 31st. As you see, I'm only completing some of the fields, but you will get the option to save your progress and continue. You will be able to look at the entire form. You don't need to complete field by field. And if you want, you can go back or you can go forward and you can just have a look at the form. The next page is about the nominator. That's me in this case. You enter your name, your email address, your volunteer position, and membership. This is super easy to fill. The next page, it's just about questions that are directly related to the application itself of the Exemplary Student Branch Award. So you will have two sections, the 5 required documentation items, and the other section that it's the additional documentation. This is the part that I was mentioning that you can map with the document that we have right here, the 5 required documentation and the additional documentation. In case you don't find clear what we are suggesting here, you can go to the other document to satisfy any doubts that you may have. And that's basically it. You will find that the first document is the IEEE Student Branch Online Activity Report that you can get from the Student Branch Reporting B-Tools page. You just go there, download the PDF, and then just upload it here. And the same thing for other tools and other documents. Here, we recommend that you go to the page and just download the PDF. Try not to make any changes so that judges, when reviewing these criteria, they know that you know how to use these tools and that you are attaching the correct file. And the same thing for the additional documentation. Some of them, as you see here, are just fields where you need to add information like email address, and the other ones are files that you need to attach. One important thing to mention is that there is one of the required fields that has a template, that it's a Word template, a document. You will need to download it to use it, and you will be requested to complete a grid that will provide information on the retention statistics of the student branch. And this is a comparison between the year that we are evaluating, that is 2020, with the previous year. So how was your retention from 2019 to 2020? And you will get different fields to complete there, and also explain your efforts on what did you do to try to retain your members or get new members. This is really important because sometimes the numbers might not reflect everything that you do for the membership development. So my suggestion would be to add everything in there. Don't think that numbers are enough. Please add your efforts there. You will find the 32 documents or fields for you to fill. And at the end of this page, we will have a validation for you to make sure that you're adding the 12 documents. Not only you will be able to add 12 documents, but we suggest that you add more in case there's one that it's maybe not correct according to the criteria, or if it's incomplete, or maybe one of the judges doesn't understand it. You need to make sure to have a backup file so you can just reach the minimum with no problems. And then save and next. We'll have this last part of the application, that it's the endorsement. An endorser is going to provide a recommendation for the student branch, and they are going to support the application. So you will need 2 people as endorsers for this application. You have the list of people that can be an endorser right here. If you have a question, you can just reach out to us. Our email is pretty much everywhere, I think. So if you have any questions, maybe Lee knows because he has a lot of experience with awards. And if you want to reach out to us, that's our email. And then for this endorsement, this works in the following way. I'll say, just to have an example, let's say I am a section SAC. So I will ask a recommendation from the section SAC for my student branch for this application. I put the name and the email, and then I send a request. This send request means that this person, in this case me, is going to receive an email for preparing the endorsement. The email is going to have a link that will open a page in this platform where the endorser can just type the recommendation, or they can upload a file with the recommendation letter and click send. Once this is sent, you will see here that it's not received yet. You have requested it. The invitation and the request was sent, but the endorsement has not been received yet. And you will see here a message saying not sent because I haven't requested yet. The important thing about endorsement is that the deadline to receive these endorsements is the same for all the awards. And these are considered required fields, as you see here. So if you want to finalize your submission, you won't be able to do so until you complete all required fields in the form and at the same time complete all endorsements. And that's it. Once you save and finalize your submission, you'll receive a confirmation email that everything's okay. You don't need to worry about anything else. You've made it. And the email will contain also a link to a form where you can put your feedback, because these awards are for you. And the idea is that we build them together for all students. So if you have any comments about your experience, about the requirements, or anything that you have in mind, the form is there for you to provide your feedback. And that's the submission process. I hope it sounds very easy to do.
Okay, thank you very much for that demonstration, Ariana. That's been incredibly helpful, I'm sure, for many people. And hopefully is quite straightforward. I know there's a lot of text fields there to fill in, which is why we do say, if possible, to make a start sooner rather than later, because it can sometimes be a little bit of a rush to find all of the necessary documents, old emails, old photographs of events that may be on social media and so on. So as we say, we open this in February every year. We're coming up to the deadline now. And of course, we would suggest people make a start with this if they're planning to apply next year, sooner rather than later, but there's still time. You can still apply now. It may well just be a bit of a rush to get all the information. We'll go on to questions shortly. There's just one point that I will mention about this nomination process as a question we often get each year, which is on the student membership numbers and retention statistics. Now, there's an important clause there, which means that you have to know in advance the number of students your branch had in the previous year in order to do that calculation. Now, the hope is that in the past, as the running of your student branch has continued, you will have found that information from OU Analytics and done so. If not, perhaps the previous branch chairperson has done so, or perhaps the branch counsellor has done so. So as you can see, here's the document that you can see in front of us. So it's got the, this is, I believe, from 2019 to 2020. So you've listed the number of students that you have in your branch in the previous year, the number you have in the current year, and therefore you can calculate how many have joined and how many have continued. Now, one important point with this, you do not have to actually have retained a certain number of students to be eligible for the award. You just need to show that you have tried, basically. This is why, as you mentioned, Ariana, it's very important to describe your retention efforts. The second part there, which you can see highlighted in red, this has been a very difficult year for a lot of people. IEEE membership has probably been quite low down on the list of priorities for some students. And so we completely understand and would expect, although it's unfortunate, that the membership will have declined in some branches. Now, we'd like to reverse that, and we've got many ideas of how to do that, and we'll be in touch with those. But as it stands right now, we can certainly expect that despite everyone's best efforts, membership numbers may have gone down. But if you can describe in the retention efforts section what your branch has been doing to try and keep members and try and recruit new members, you will still be eligible for the award. So I can't overstress the importance of that second part of that form. Even if the numbers don't paint a particularly great picture, then you can still be eligible for the award with that. So this is the form you will see. Be aware that needs to be done. I think after this we can now, unless Ariana, unless you've got anything else to add, we can go to any questions. I see we've had a few that have come in already. If you have any questions, please add them onto the Facebook comments, and we will do our best to answer them. If you have a question later on, after this event has taken place today, then we will still be available to answer the questions in the comments after that. So I'll go to the first one, and this might be one for you, in fact, Ariana. Can you see? You can see the chat as well, I guess, yeah. So from Ziad, the Daryl Chong Award, where can I put the link of the event? In which question I mean was an online activity. So so in the Daryl Chong Award, this is an MGA award, which I don't get a lot of exposure to, but I understand there will be a text field or several text fields where you will be able to describe the event in detail. Yeah, this is the fields I was talking about. So if it's been an online event, which of course in this year we would expect it would be, I'm not sure in this, because this is an MGA award, if there is a specific URL field or if it can just be, no, there isn't. So in that case, you will be able to upload that URL into one of the text fields along with the description, and we will be able to view those entries from there. So so there's plenty opportunity to do it. We would encourage you to add a description in some detail if possible, and not just upload the URL and leave it at that. We have seen a few of those in the past in various awards. We do need an explanation as to how you devised the idea, how you believe it's going to help the student branch, and how it ended up being attended, and all of the results, as you can see in the various fields there. So a number of participants and members and so on.
Exactly. Focus on the information that you're providing in the form, and everything that is not in the form will be extra information.
Generally speaking, the more information you can add, the better. Even if you think it may be irrelevant, please add it in. We do like a good read, you know, even if it's something that's you don't think is essential, please put it in there. And hopefully that will increase your chances. Now, there's another question from the same submission. Is a professional person to get professional membership, or are there any other things needed? So for the endorsements. You're the endorser. There's, again, Ariana, you may be able to also take this one, but the endorser can be, there's a list of people who can be endorsers, I understand. So it's the counsellor, chapter advisor, the student branch, section SAC, section chair, or SSR. So there's a bit of a wide variety of people you can choose from, and many of those will be, by their nature, professional IEEE members, such as the section chair. So so it depends who it is. I hope that was the question that you're trying to answer. If not, please do follow it up with a clarification. But the list of endorsers are usually made quite clear on that form. So so a question here from Amit. The SAME site, well, that's a name from the past. The SAME site, by which I guess you're meaning the OU Analytics site, because if I don't think you can still access SAME. That's, for those of you who are fairly new, we have a membership system which allows you to see, as student branch chairperson or section chairperson, all of the members of your student branch in a long list. It's quite a complicated site to go to, and it sometimes is a bit slow, but I think Ariana's going to try. The previous system was called SAME, which more or less did the same thing, but a bit more slowly and a little bit more complicated to use. But the content of the question here, SAME does not get updated. Some volunteers in the student branch purchase student membership but still appear as not active in the OU Analytics. Now, my understanding is that it usually takes around 24 hours to update properly. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but if you join, it's usually updated within around 24 hours. You will see the new members listed there. If they are not listed, it could be that their membership is still pending. I know that can sometimes be an issue, that they may not have been accepted as a member because there are some conditions that need to be met. So it's possible that that's the case. I would ask you to suggest that these members go into their own IEEE portal and check the status themselves. If they are being shown as active, but it's still not reflected on OU Analytics, then there could be a problem perhaps with the back end of the system, although we haven't heard anything about that. Keep us in touch with that.
that sometimes the university selected is not one in the system, but it's typed, manually typed, and it sometimes doesn't match the name that it's already saved in IEEE. That's
Yes.
also maybe something to check as well.
So this is another problem which we have done our best. Our previous Region 8 Student Activities Chairperson, Mache, did an incredible amount of effort to try and clear this up. So if he's watching out there, thank you very much for all of your efforts. I know the whole team did a lot for that. To try and remove duplicate entries. I think there's a list, Ariana, I'll move the chat box out the way. Oh no, that's the different field. If you choose your university, sometimes your university is listed twice, or in some cases a number of times, under slightly different names. So I don't actually know why this is. It's been there, it's just been like that for as long as I can remember. So it's very important to choose the correct university, and it might be that in fact you have inadvertently chosen the wrong one, and therefore it's not being counted on the correct university. We have some where universities have got two distinct communities, both with about the same number of members, where in fact they should be one. So we've done our absolute best in Region 8 to try to fix those problems, but I believe there are still a few out there that are like that, which we're still working on. So do check. Make sure that your student branch code and everything is exactly how it should be, and hopefully that will overcome that problem. If not, please send an email to the actual IEEE staff, and they can look into this issue for you. It's not something that our side we can really we can do an awful lot about, because it's more of a membership issue. So hopefully that answers that question. If there's still a problem, please get back in touch with us, and we'll try and do what we can. So I'll go on to the next one. From Ahmed. Is that the same Ahmed? I think it is, yes. Do you prefer the endorser submits a PDF file with his signature handwritten, or do you prefer it's not necessary for it to be handwritten though. It can be uploaded text PDF, just a letter in Word printed to PDF. That's not a problem at all. So yeah, please do go ahead. I think a lot of them, in fact, it can just be typed in the text field in some of them, but if it does require a PDF, then simply write it in Word, print it to PDF, and then upload that. That's no problem at all. A comment here from Prasanth, who I expect is watching. Endorser will not get a copy of the application. Okay, yes, that's another point, that when you send the application for the endorser, that I don't believe they automatically receive a copy of all of this. So it's worth having a chat with them in advance before you go and nominate them, because otherwise they may wonder what the email is about and why they're receiving it. And perhaps, in my experience of academics, being one myself, may get ignored. So please do have that conversation in advance. And we have a question here from Ahmed again. Can Daryl Chong Platinum and Gold Awards be given to multiple student branches? I believe they can. Is that right, Ariana? Yes, this is another MGA one. So because it's rewarding a particular activity, and if it was an activity that was taking place over several student branches, which is something we of course encourage. We have many examples of student branches working together to host activities, then it can certainly be awarded to all. So yes, that's certainly true. So
yep. Last year, I think there were 40 student branches in total awarded in the 4 categories. As they mentioned, we have platinum, we have gold, silver, and bronze. And the idea is to classify activities and award them based on that category. Platinum being the highest, there is sometimes that in a particular year you don't get any platinum winners, but we don't have limits in the amount of winners. I think that's really encouraging.
Okay, so that's all the questions we've got so far. I'll give it a minute or so if we have any more to come through, but if not, then I would say to everybody, please go and have a look at that site now or as soon as you can. Have a look at the application criteria and see if your student branch is eligible. And if they are, you've still got 5 days to apply. We would very, very strongly encourage you to do so. It's a fantastic way to sort of prove your commitment to the student branches. And also, as a side note, it's another great thing to talk about in job interviews. If you've led a student branch, you've led an international team, often through a very difficult time at a university, you created wonderful links with academics and industry over time, and you can get a certificate to prove all of that. So, so we would very much encourage you to do so. I know many people that have managed to get very good job interviews and in fact got jobs at the end of it, and they've spoken mostly about their IEEE experiences in order to do so. So that's one thing. I think Ariana mentioned this earlier, and it's very much worth repeating that in order to apply for, I would say, all of these awards, or at least most of them, you need to have all of the basics, the eligibility criteria, which we happen to see on the screen here right now, in place. So that is to say, you need to have completed your student branch reporting for the previous year in order to be eligible. We would encourage you all to do that anyway, because your branch is liable to be dissolved through inactivity if you don't submit that. And obviously the deadline has now passed for that, but we would encourage those this coming year to please pay attention to that deadline for reporting. It doesn't take long, and it proves that your student branch is active. You will be unfortunately ineligible for any awards if that has not been taken place, and also that your officers are reported. So to make sure that your officers, your student branch chair and your student branch counsellor as a minimum are reported on VTools. If they are not, then unfortunately it doesn't correspond that they are actually the officer that you're saying that they are, and this causes confusion. So please do make sure all of that is in order. Even if you're not planning to submit for awards this year, please do check those anyway to make sure that everything is in place, and make sure, because otherwise you will not have access to some of the volunteer resources such as OU Analytics. So I can't overstress the importance of that. And obviously it looks good for your section as well to have as many student branches reporting. I know that's something I've been chasing in the UK and Ireland section for quite some time now. Hello to anyone who's sick of seeing the emails from me. I think we have one more question. I think this probably will be the last. This is another Daryl Chong question. Needs 2 endorsements. I'm asking about the second endorsement. Any professionals question? Again, this is probably one for you, Ariana. So yes, it's to do with the 2 endorsers that are required, and from where they can be sourced.
So we have, in this case, Daryl Chung, and I see we have only 1 endorsement. Let me check here. We also have 1 endorsement right here. In this case, it's any of these members that I mentioned here, but if in any of the other awards you get a professional IEEE member as an endorsement, yes, then I think that it doesn't need a section. It doesn't need to be a section officer. It just needs to be a professional member. Okay, hopefully that clears that one up. One thing I will say is that these rules do change slightly year on year. Some of you may find in the archive somewhere a list, for example, for the Exemplary Student Branch Award that only has 28 points on it rather than the 32. That will be the list from last year and going back. It's since been expanded to 32 points. Please disregard any links that may lead to the previous documentation. And indeed, if you see the requirements for a contest that may have a deadline which is other than the one that we say here, the deadline has changed several times over the years. So please do hold the Student Awards website as the truth, and anything else you see, please do consider how old it is, because it might be that those criteria are no longer valid. So things that you might see about endorsers or requirements or things that may no longer be the case, go and check on the website, because that's where all of the information is. Okay, I think we'll just take perhaps 2 more quick questions here, which I see on the chat. Ahmed, again, to do with the student branch volunteer who is now showing as active. If that is the case, then I would say you need to email IEEE staff to clear up what the problem is with that, because it looks like it is a membership issue and is not something that we can
directly control ourselves. So please follow the email links that are on the IEEE website there. I think there's an interactive chat you can use to try and resolve some basic issues. So, so have a look at that. This is actually quite common, that things perhaps get allocated in the wrong list. So another reason to make sure in advance that your officers are registered in place in advance. So please do have a look at that. And the final question I'll take from Kayum. Is there a problem if a student branch has just started activity 4 months ago? Thank you. It's certainly not a problem. We would certainly encourage all of that. Unfortunately, if it was from 4 months ago, that would mean that you will have not actually held any activities in the previous year. The previous year from 1st of January 2020 to 31st of January, how could we forget that year, is going to be the period from which the nominations are drawn. So if you started this year, then unfortunately you will not be able to report any activities for the previous year, but you certainly can prepare your application for this year. So I would say go on this website, download the list of the 32 criteria for example, the Exemplary Student Branch Awards, and plan your activities this year so that they fit within that criteria. And when it comes to the nomination period next year, you will know that you have everything in place. Yeah, here's the list that Ariana has just put on the screen. That is what we need to do. So have a look at that, try and fit around this, make sure everything's in order, and you will receive the awards as long as you nominate in time. Okay, I believe that is all. And I think we'll close the questions in real time. But if anybody does have a look at this and have queries or questions or comments, either upload them onto the Facebook chat, or we are always here to answer questions via email. Again, our email address is everywhere. We'll also answer any questions put to our Facebook or social media page, and we will do our best to answer those as quickly as possible. But go and have a look at the website first. It's fairly self-explanatory, and I hope everybody can understand what we are asking for people to submit. I would say as well, when you are submitting for these awards, as we say, there are 12 criteria required for Exemplary Student Branch. There's nothing wrong with, and indeed we would encourage you to try to submit more than 12. Try to submit as many as you can, in fact, because there is always the chance that one of the criteria may be misunderstood, or perhaps one of the criteria is not exactly to the standard that we require, and you might not be eligible on that particular criteria. If you have more than 12, then you have several others that you can also rely on. So we would encourage you to try and apply as many of these as possible so that we can be absolutely sure that, that you'll meet that criteria. And I think that's everything I need to say for now. Ariana, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, nothing else to add. I think that it was, the explanation were very complete, and regarding the demonstration, I hope that you understand how the platform works. And of course, as Lee mentioned, in case of any questions, we're here. We want you to apply. So if there's anything you need, just please reach out. Okay.
All right. Well, we'll close the session now. And thank you very much again for everybody to take the time to come and watch us explain this. And have a good day. And please let us know if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you very much.
Everybody.